I got my baccalaureate at SUNY College at Buffalo. You notice there are no dates listed. We're going to all agree that I'm really old. We're going to leave, just agree I'm really old. We'll leave it at that, okay? Okay? Okay. And then I got my master's at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, not Kentucky. There's no higher education in Kentucky. PhD at the University of Minnesota. And then I went into higher education. So between 75 and 85, I was an assistant professor at SUNY College at Oswego. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because Al Roker talks a lot about it on the Today Show, because he was a student there when I was a faculty member there. No, I didn't have him in class. Associate professor and assistant department head at the University of Northern Iowa, Cedar Falls, Iowa, 2 restaurants in town you better like steak. Iowa, gateway to Nebraska. Professor and department head and associate dean, but I'm really a good person, at Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti. I also did some adjunct teaching at the University of Michigan, which is right next door in Ann Arbor. And then I was fortunate enough to become the recipient of the Ford Motor Company Endowed Chair for Research, Development, and Training in Statistical Methods, and I worked with Dr. W. Edwards Deming when Don Peterson hired him to bring him in to turn Ford Motor Company around. So I got to work with him for 2 years, which was kind of a highlight of my career, in case you know about Dr. Deming and his teaching. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I woke up one morning, I remember it like it was yesterday, and I decided that I had 2 really smart kids. I wanted to put them through undergraduate and graduate school, and so I was tired of being poor, so I thought what I would do is leave higher education, give up the professorship, give up tenure, give up the endowed chair, just start a consulting firm, do it for a year or 2, put some money away, and then go back to teaching. So that was the plan. So all my colleagues, of course, who had been in higher education for years, thought that there was something incredibly wrong with me for you don't give up tenure. So I gave it all up, went out. It didn't quite work out the way I had originally visualized. So from 85 to 98, I was president of my own company. First, it was Luftig and Associates, then it became Luftig and Warren International when I brought a partner in. Our headquarters were in Southfield, Michigan. The satellite offices that we established later in the United States were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Chicago, Illinois. And then we started working internationally for a lot of the firms that had offices overseas and facilities overseas. So I created an office in Swansea, which is in Wales, Great Britain, and another office in Geelong, Australia, which is just south of Melbourne. It was a consulting firm specializing in statistical methods, quality sciences, and what I teach in EMEN 5040 and 5041, which is business performance improvement and business performance excellence. Annually employed about 35 to 45 full-time professional administrative staff. In the 14 years that I ran the company, we had gross billings in excess of $100 million for the 1985 to 1998 period, which is not bad for an organization that size. I will also tell you that during that period, we spent not $1 on advertising. So that revenue was generated 100% word of mouth. One of my, for those of you taking 50/40 from me, one of my critical performance metrics was never to have to advertise my services as a consulting group. So I was able to do that up until 1998. Then one day I woke up, it feels like it was yesterday, and I was traveling probably 48 to 50 weeks a year, Sunday through Friday, and it had been 14 years. And I woke up one morning, I was in Sydney, Australia. I was in the Regent Hotel, which is on the harbor where the Opera House is. I had a corner room overlooking the Opera House. It was Sunday morning. It was sunny. I didn't have anything that day. I could do whatever I wanted. I had plenty of money, and I was just so lonely and tired. I just wanted to go home. That's when I knew I had had about enough. So at that point, I flew home and got some catalogs from various places, college catalogs. Well, first thing I did was I made a matrix of all the places I thought I might want to live out the rest of my life, and then I had criteria across the top in columns about what would make a great place to retire to. And then I rank ordered all the places within each column. I'm a statistician by training, okay? Don't look at, I know what you're thinking. You're looking at me going, my God, you are anal. Thank you. And so I rank ordered them all, then I calculated the median rank weight. The Denver area came out number 1. Seattle, living on Mercer Island, came out number 2. San Francisco came out number 3. I decided to live in Denver, so I sent out, for catalogs, I got college catalogs back. I sent 5 letters to deans, department heads saying, I'm retiring, here's my resume, you got any part-time teaching? I got 3 full-time job offers. So that's when I went back. But training and consulting, a little more about the consulting firm. We consulted in North America, US, Canada, and Mexico, Asia, Japan, Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, and Thailand, Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, Geelong, and Perth, Europe, England, Wales, Norway, where I found out I could eat haunch of reindeer if I had enough scotch, Germany and Spain, and then South America. I went to Brazil. I sent my staff to Suriname. Rio, Suriname. You decide. Clients, where do some of the case studies you'll be seeing today come from? Well, Ford Electrical Electronics Division, which was later spun off, that's now Visteon, Ford Glass, Fisher Body, and DuPont, IBM in the mainframe division in California, Hewlett-Packard, Molex, Applied Magnetics, Motorola, Control Data, Signetics, and TRW, Alcoa US, Alcoa Australia, Olin Brass, mostly in Norway, Elchem Aluminum in Norway, Inland Steel in East Chicago, Indiana. Next to Gary. If you've never been there, I suggest you don't go. Anheuser-Busch, my favorite client, Chiquita, Earth Grains, Nabisco. Even I couldn't help Nabisco after people figured out that the low-fat cookies were still high in carbs and calories. Right, the Treatwells or whatever those things were. Permi, a rice milling organization owned by Anheuser-Busch because rice is used in beer. Metal Container, Zapata, Risden, Precision Printing, Capsula Metallicus in Spain and Germany. Hughes Aircraft before GM bought them and ruined them. McDonnell Douglas, a company that's outstanding at making things that kill people from a safe distance. Omark Industries owns Oregon Saw Chain, the world's largest manufacturer of saw chain for chainsaws, Whirlpool, Weyerhaeuser, and then about 4 years before I decided to retire and go back to education, my partner and I bought a manufacturing firm called Weldalloy, non-ferrous alloy machine parts and forgings, as well as the welding tips that go on oxyacetylene torches. And so we bought that firm from a company called Certainteed, and applied the business performance improvement model there. So I had a manufacturing firm and consulting firm when I decided finally to go back to education. So after I got my offers, I accepted full-time senior instructor at Systems in the Leeds School of Business and half-time adjunct instructor here in the Department of Applied Mathematics in the College of Engineering. So now I was working time and a half, which meant in higher education I had to be here Tuesday and Thursday, which was quite a change from 48 weeks a year of travel, 50, 60 hours a week. I also did some consulting as long as I didn't have to get on a plane. So I consulted a while for Sun Microsystems, Storage Tech, HP, IBM, and Ball Aerospace, and I'm still consulting for them. And then in 2005, the position of the Deming Professor of Management in the Engineering Management program opened up upstairs. So I scurried over from business over to engineering, and that was 8 years ago. I'm in my 15th year now here at CU. Took that position, retained my half-time position in the Department of Applied Math. During the period 2005 to 2012, I've been a visiting professor at the Vienna University of Technology. I'm teaching the ethics class that I normally teach. In fact, I teach right after this tonight. I'll be teaching that in Vienna in May. Visiting professor at Lucerne University in Lucerne, Switzerland, and I'm a member of the advisory board at the School of Business in the Danube University in Krems, Austria. And then Dr. Lawton, who was the director of the engineering management program, stepped down, said she was tired of being the director. We did a search. Nobody who wanted the job was suitable As far as the faculty were concerned, no one who the faculty wanted the job, so I was going to have to conduct the search all over again, and then I decided, you know what, rather than do that, I'll just apply. And so I tried to apply, and they said, no, you don't need to apply, we'll just move you into that. So now I'm the Lockheed Martin Professor of Management, Director of the EMP, still a visiting professor at Vienna, still a member of the advisory board at Danube University. Personal interests, motorcycle cruising and touring, of course. Fly fishing, I live in Colorado. Skiing, I live in Colorado. And that's my story. That's how I got to be the way I am, in a nutshell. Anything that can be put in a nutshell belongs there, so